Good evening and welcome to my hobby bench. On the table I've got an OS FS-120 Surpass E engine. This is a recent acquisition. I just actually did a box to the bench run on it. Oh, probably maybe a week or so ago. So it's time to do a look inside. Actually, probably a lot more than a look inside, just a disassembly of this engine, so I can assess its condition and more than likely just get a set of bearings for it and put new bearings in it. I mean, externally,
I don't think you haven't gotten to see this yet. I didn't do any kind of a quick look video or anything, but externally this thing looks really nice. It was a quite affordable
price. It's got a couple little dings on the drive hub, but I mean, other than that, it's in fine shape and it ran quite nicely. So I have no idea how much runtime it's got on it. I don't know the history of this engine. I think all I could get out of the eBay seller was that it was his grandfather's engine, and I think that's all I got. So I'm probably not going to have a whole lot to say here. This is more just a video documenting what I'm seeing here, as opposed to really talking about too much stuff. I think by now most people have seen 4-stroke engine disassemblies. I do happen to have a set of Boca bearings on hand for this. They were actually kind of intended for potentially for another engine, 120 Surpass, but I think I'm going to leave that there. I hope that I don't need... Well, I'll probably put this head in the ultrasonic, so I'm probably going to end up having to get a gasket set for this engine anyway, but... As I said in my box to the bench review, all I did was set the valve lash on this. I didn't do anything else to it. And I'm hoping that because of the fact that I ran the engine, I'm hoping that that makes wrist pin or piston pin extraction much simpler, because in the past I found that that was one of the key things to aid in getting that piston pin out, was simply the fact of getting the engine up to operating temperature. If it was in condition, good enough condition to do that, run it, get it up to operating temperature, get all those parts moving. And I know on at least one occasion, one of my videos, that really aided that process of getting that out. Hit that enough to free it up. I think I need a stronger piece of wood. I think that gasket's really holding on there. There we go. That's where you're going to lose the gasket. There. Oh wow, that's an interesting color. I'm not sure I quite understand that. Yeah, that's gaskets. Toast. That's just really interesting that on the inside of that thing would look like that. I apologize for having to clear my throat so much. I don't understand. I just had some supper, but man, that thing looks really nice inside. This thing's puking all over the place here. Alright, let's set the right size. That was tight. So this engine's never been disassembled before, I can tell you that right now. Just by that sound right there. can just tell by the way things feel that these fasteners have never come apart, or come off before. That one's going to be a little tougher to get to. What is that, a 3mm? No, it can't be. Where's the other size? 2.5. It's got to be a 2.5. It is. Okay, so believe it or not, and I'll probably make a separate quickie video on this. Those of you that watch all of my videos, or at least the ones that have seen the one on the toolbox, I am really loving this little toolbox that I bought and put here. It is keeping these tools much more organized. I lay these in there so I can see the size, and I can reach and grab exactly what I need. I mean, sometimes one will roll a little bit, but I try to keep them straight so that I can always read. And of course I lay them in there in an ascending order or descending order anyway, so that also helps. But I mean, the little toolbox definitely is very nice. I like it. Betcha we're going to pull this head off and see that there's very little evidence of carbon. Oops. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Pretty new, little grungy there on the sides. Let's see what the bottom here looks like.
Okay, not too bad.
Guess I could just leave those in there. I am gonna probably lose this gasket because I think
This head,
it just really kind of needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I don't know that the valves need to be dropped. I think there's a head shim here that I can pop out, make sure I don't lose in the ultrasonic. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad at all. I don't know how far we're gonna get. I think when I first got this, I took these screws out and attempted to remove that cover, and it wasn't like really easy to just pull off, so I have a feeling I'm going to have a little bit of challenges here with this thing. This is where I don't like doing this. But you just gotta be so careful here on this thing. Should probably just set this in the vise first. Get it to move like I just had it. It'll come off, and of course I haven't heated this up. There we go. Just in case I need it again.
well, I definitely won't be replacing that bearing.
Looks fine. Get one of these cam followers to move up. Oh, they're free, very free. Came right out. I don't know if I'll be so lucky with this one here. I don't know that that one's actually doing anything to hold that timing gear in place. Usually this will just come out with a magnet like that. Yeah, this is an incredibly low time engine. see if this sleeve is going to want to come up. What do I have to use to do that? It's dowel rod, maybe. This is where I might actually have to use a little bit of heat. Maybe not. It's just quite easy there. Now I get in here and you've got this Teflon retainer. And I just have this little servo screw I keep here on a magnet. I'm just going to try and thread it in here a little bit. Enough to get that retainer to come out. And then who knows, maybe, just maybe, if I get that thread in there deep enough, maybe there's enough freedom of movement of that piston, wrist pin or whatever it's called, that it'll come right out with it. But I'm not holding my breath for that. Just the retainer came out, which is fine. Kind of figured that was all that was going to happen. Now is when we're going to try this Torx bit thing that I did on another Surpass engine just recently. From this, hopefully I can find one that fits, this Harbor Freight 26-piece screwdriver set. It's got these Torx bits in here that are long. And if you can find the right one, it'll fit in there just right. So unfortunately, neither one of these is really the right size for this. I don't know if I can. Just doesn't feel like it's going in there enough to get jammed in there. Maybe it is. Maybe all I got to do now is just throw some oil in there and heat that up and see if we get lucky. Because what I would do is I would kind of rotate it out. I've got it jammed in there pretty good. I think we're going to be in luck here. So let me just throw some oil in there. I'm going to turn this off for a couple of seconds and oil that up and heat it up and see if I can't just pull that thing right out. Alright, so I might as well just show this anyway. I've got this, I've just kind of placed this on here. I haven't heated it up. I'm just going to go ahead. I put a drop of oil in there. I'm just going to heat this up. Keep it in frame. I just don't want to be pointing this heat gun at something that's not friendly to heat. Put a couple more drops of 3-in-1 in here. What I want to see is I want to see that oil smoke. And then I'll know it's hot enough to potentially extract. That bit got a little warm too. Oh. Can't tell if I'm making any headway pulling that thing out or not. It seemed to be turning. which is a good thing. There we go.
And there's how you
Extract the piston pin. That's got a very good track record for doing it that way. The Torx bit, boy, if you can find one of these long Torx bits that fits, that just really seems to be the trick, the key to doing this. Move some of this stuff out of the way now. Okay, so I had a phone call come in and I shut the camera off for a few minutes. So this worked marvelously, pulling that out like that. However, what I determined was I didn't realize for the 120 Surpass, and maybe even others, that this is not a hollow pin. This piston pin is not hollow, so I was trying to tap this way with a punch to try to get this thing out, and of course it wasn't working. I'm like, why is that? And I looked in there and it's like, I don't see the tip of this, I see something different. So I had to really hold this thing in a vise, this hardened steel piston pin, and then twist this thing out. So you got to have an extraction plan. If you're going to jam it in there like I did, you got to have an extraction plan, and that's the plan. So that works wonderfully. Now I can just drop this connecting rod off here. It should just drop right off. There's our connecting rod. It's beautiful. I mean, this engine is in just tremendous shape. I wonder how easy. This has got a Woodruff key. I'm wondering how easy it'll be. Just, ooh, wow! Almost threw stuff across the room. It should be a little bit easier than that to pull off. Make sure I didn't lose my nut or my Woodruff key, which I think I might have. There was a Woodruff key in here. I could have swore I saw one somewhere. It probably went flying someplace. I'll find it, hopefully. I don't know where it might have gone. Maybe I can review the video and see. But otherwise, I think I've got another Woodruff key. It should be around here somewhere, though. That is the problem if you just yank it off like that. Because now I got a rogue Woodruff key laying around here someplace. So this thing is ready to have the bearing or the crankshaft tapped out. No key in there. And that is going to be saved for a Boca bearing removal and installation video. So that's the end of this. Now I've got to go and try and find where my Woodruff key went. And like I said, I'm pretty sure I've got another one, but that one should be around here someplace. So that's our disassembly of this FS-120 Surpass E engine.